Hey yo, what's up? This is the Protect Your Neck podcast, and I'm your host, Dan Tom. Analyst is work you can find over at MMAJunkie.com as well as Action Network. But on this here program, the Protect Your Neck podcast, we break down high level MMA. That's what we're going to do here today, tonight. Whenever you're listening to this, hopefully it's before the fight, recording this late Thursday night, West Coast Pacific time for UFC San Diego, which will be going down next door to the state I reside in here. UFC on ESPN 41, UFC Fight Night, Vera versus Cruz, not Veta Cruz. Yeah, we'll break that down from top to bottom. Check the show notes if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. This is kind of an old school podcast form. I'm recording this one. Thanks for the 5-star ratings and reviews. Really appreciate that. They really help if you haven't done so already. Or you can check the show notes on the audio version that I will and do upload to YouTube. Couldn't make the live this week. I'll briefly explain that in a second before we push on. But again, if you want to subscribe, Daniel Tom MMA on YouTube.com. That's very appreciative. Appreciate the love there. And again, sorry I wasn't able to do the normal live chat Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific that I usually do, and was going to kind of change to 3 p.m. Pacific. As this marks the 8-week point of camp. So sorry, my dog is just going to town on herself. Brownie, relax there, Stink. Relax. Yeah, 8-week mark of camp, doing the Train Ultra program, and nothing's official or signed yet, but essentially planning to fight. Again, there's things up in the air, like I said last time, as far as, who it will be sanctioned, for a tough enough, which is great. Chance for me to get my 0-1 to a 1-1, but since this kind of becoming reality, it's really setting in with everybody. And, just kind of having, the anxieties, all that normal stuff that's not fun that you go through. Realizing that I got to be selfish once again, and realizing how hard it can be to be selfish when, Brownie, relax over there. When you got a 100-pound stink over here, Mastiff, who just can't still be left alone. Very trustworthy with the old man who's doing good over here. Thanks for asking about Benjamin. So far, no signs of the cancer coming back. And even though I'm a little too poor to give him the bucket list road trip to the beach that I was planning, which was planning to go to San Diego, which was funny enough, and then if not, maybe to Salt Lake to get this window installation on my FJ, the only place that does the rear windows, to get them to roll down like they should have came out of the factory, is in Salt Lake City. Which I used to make the drive up to. Used to have friends up there, go to some shows and whatnot. So I was like, oh wow, UFC's going back. That would be great. And then too poor to do either of those anyways. So I guess I could forgive myself for being selfish. From the dog perspectives, though, these upcoming 2 shows are really going to make me bum me out on my potential plans. There's going to be a little bit of reminders of plans that I wanted to do. But it's also hard to be selfish more mainly, obviously, with mi madre, with her aphasia and all that. And then, of course, my stepfaja, who's, a veteran of war. They've been through a lot of shit from a young age. The American government put him through, and unfortunately, as much money as we put to making war, we do not put nearly the same. It's a joke, really, as far as taking care of the people who actually serve this country and do the bidding of the evil politicians, right? Not trying to get, political, but there's just, I think both sides can agree that this country could do a fucking way better job of actually taking care of its veterans. So, very frustrating. Jack's out of the hospital, finally, which is great. While he was in there fighting for his life, the government decided to deny us of home care, which would come in use right now, because then, we wouldn't have, me and my mom, my aphasia-ridden mother wouldn't be having to doing tag team doctor driving visits that have just multiplied even further than they already were. So between both of their doctors and the dogs and all that kind of gymnastics, that's how I can go with actually like having injuries and not being able to have time to even go get myself checked out, which I didn't, even though I made the whole big fucking post and hubbub. My hand, dare say, showed the littlest improvement for the first time in a week since then. Granted, but or maybe I'm just telling myself that as an excuse because I didn't want to have to rush and stress more going down to the quick care, even though I've had plenty of fight footage to watch. You know me, I'll tell you what I didn't get to as per usual because it's just too much to get to with the UFC. But the X-ray division would have been closing down, I believe, before the actual quick care, and X-ray is what I need to confirm. I don't think it's anything breaking. I'm just hoping it's nothing like ligament-wise, you know what I'm saying? But my pain tolerance is so stupid, and I'm not bragging about that. Believe me, it's caused more pain or more trouble than good. That, you know, I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, I've been rocking these braces from when I fractured, because I fractured both thumbs. I've broken both hands. Am I getting Anthony Pettis hands over here? Before, and I didn't even realize it. I realized I broke the hands, but like as far as the fractured thumbs, so yeah. I'm probably gonna go tomorrow. We'll see. I still got fucking work to do. They threw some more random straw weights on the card that I've never heard of before. So I'll probably have to be researching those for my article tomorrow. Spoiler alert, won't have anything for those matchups. For that matchup, I should say, on the main card for UFC San Diego. But yeah, just, sorry if I sound kind of somber. I'm going to try to push through this as fast as I can. Quick finishes, and, it was my birthday weekend, so hopefully that'll be fast. But yeah, old Dan Tom here is preparing to do the damn thing again. I haven't made any official announcements because I haven't signed a contract yet. I don't even know if my opponent accepted / figure out a weight. I'm going to be aiming for 170. Hopefully that's okay with the opponent they're trying to set me up with, who actually doesn't walk around too much heavier than that, although he's bigger, taller, and longer than me. Your boy just weighs heavy. Can't even use the Hawaiian excuse in this case because this dude's Hawaiian too. But yeah, I got some lbs to drop. Hanging around the mid to low 190s, but then like I fucked up like on my birthday. I get this. I throw this out there. Everyone's like freaking out. Alex Bajeda. I'm about 10 pounds lower in a month shorter than him, so I don't know how much better that is. And I'm not a pro, but like yeah, I think I hit like on Saturday after practice. I hit like 191 pounds, and then keep in mind like I think I started this year at like 210. And I was like, okay, it's my last hurrah before I tighten the diet and start road work and all these things, right? But, you know, and I'm sure I rehydrated it up to like probably like 193, ate some food, ate a lot of food, right? Some dim sum, had some sodium, some Chinese breakfast. I'm not going to be able to have that for a minute. You know, had some bar food. I probably only had like 4 to 5 beers over a whole birthday weekend, 3 days, 4 to 5 beers, and no hard alcohol, but the 2 glasses of vino, with a steak I had on Sunday, and after that meal, I went to weigh myself. So finished practice, actually not even Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. Like I'm on the scale, it's like 1 in the afternoon on Saturday, 191. Probably about 8:30 at night Sunday, I was 203.8. After practice this morning, I finished back at 193 at, you know, Thursday morning. So Sunday night to Thursday morning. I guess, you know, I probably offset myself out by a fucking week. Because I'll probably just end up being back at square 191. You're like a dream come true. Ooh, gonna weight cut you. So yeah, like, you know, hopefully, I guess my goal would be fucking no more than 182. I want to aim for 180 by the time, you know, fight week comes around. And then, cutting less than 10 pounds in 24 hours, obviously, because you cut throughout the week. That's going to be my rough plan. We'll see. But I'm just hoping my thumb gripping comes back, because not being able to grip sucks. My coaches were rightfully chastising me for pulling guard on a double leg on Friday. Like Paul Craig, except I'm not a badass like the Bear Jew. But and I'm not going to complain, because I know people who have, and I'm not even talking about the Nick Knowles. I'm talking about, I know people who have severe limb disabilities, for lack of a better word. I hate that word, but and have just fucking kicked ass. And I'm not trying to be like bootstrapping or this or that, but just is it raining? Jesus. Sounds like it's raining outside, folks. Sorry about that. Apologize for the rain, Dan. But yeah, like it just but at the same time, man, you're used to gripping stuff. It really messes with you on what kind of submissions you can go for. And so it's just not been fun. So I just want to get an answer to make sure I'm not going to make this worse, and figure out what's going on with that, right? Because Anyways, but yeah, that's what's going on with me. And we're all injured. The guy that trying to set me up was dealing with his own injuries too, so I don't care about this being public. It's whatever. But yeah, so apologies for the not normal podcast schedule, being late, all that stuff. Let's move it on to. But the birthday was good. Thank you guys, by the way, for all the birthday wishes and whatnot. I was kind of watching the fights a bit in and out, so that'll hopefully expedite this recap that I'm about to jump in for you guys. But 37 in a row. Thanks my beautiful girlfriend for making it an awesome birthday. Went to an awesome show downtown, and man, I can't ask for much more. So 13-minute mark roughly. UFC on ESPN 40 recap. We went 7-3 overall in picks, 2-0 in straight plays, 2-2 in props, 0-1 in the total. It was a draw push. It got pushed in this week, in which, spoiler alert, we'll have that same total in play for Quinlan and Witt when we get to that. But the card was headlined by Jamel Hill, who defeated Thiago Santos TKO punches round 4. I'd have to rewatch it as far as scoring. I don't have any like crazy, not that I can remember at least about this fight. Like offhand, I probably would have leaned Hill all 3 rounds for the damage, but not scrutinizing cards that had it for Santos. That fight was probably not going to see the judges, despite how Santos can fight, which he went to the wild man mode, then tried to conserve it up with wrestling and just wrestled himself into a hole. Jeff Neal defeated Vicente Luque. Man, do I hate it when I'm right, because I love Luque. A lot of friends were on Luque. But, again, just, aside from the Fortis MMA being hot, again, hat tip to that camp, Coach Saif Saud. And, of course, the man himself who did the damn thing, Jeff Neal. It just looked good. But, again, Vicente Luque, southpaws, the speed, Jeff Neal being able to turn it up on round 3. Kind of Robbie Lawler-ish, isn't he, huh? Giving up that round 2. Coming out like a brick on fire and then ending strong, too. Jeff Neal's like the new Robbie Lawler, man. Man. It was about time for him to turn a corner, yada, yada. I feel like my breakdown, if you go back and listen to it, was rather apropos. And Neil cashed the decision. Flyer did not. Shouts to Ben Folks. I liked his split decision prop that he did on the prop squad. Did not hit because none of the fights went to the decision. Who knew, right? And I appreciate, by the way, Ben and Chad giving me a shout. I know Ben tailed my prop squad pick, which we'll get to, and it's an honor if I can help anybody, especially especially like the notable podcasters and the big guns in the world, like Ben and Chad D. Even though it sounds like I helped Ben and hurt Chad with the help to Ben. So, but love those guys. Love the Co-Main Event podcast. Go support those dudes on Patreon. We had Muhammad Usman defeated Zach Pauga via KO punches. boy, it looked like an arm punch, but also with some technique, smooth, and yeah, man. Hopefully we'll see Pauga goes to light heavyweight and see more from Mo. Juliana Miller defeated Brogan Walker Sanchez. I like Juliana Miller's weird attitude and vibe, so I did not mind being wrong on that. Just glad I didn't fall into the trap and hit the Brogan Walker line swing for plus money. Obviously, me not too invested in the tough fights, but that was the side that I picked, was the Brogan Walker side. Sergey Spivak was a side that I was on, thankfully. Defeated Augustus Sakai, TKO round 2, like I called it. Something to look for, and I described it this way in my Prop Squad write-up, in case you didn't read it. But basically, I said that process-based heavyweights. It's like a final fight too, baby. It's got the Japan final boss scene with the rain in the background. That's what it makes me think of. Cause you're old, Dan. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, round 2. What I said was basically, especially at heavyweight, process-based fighters at heavyweight get wrestlers rare. Process-based fighters also kind of rare in that division, right? But if you get them, round 2 becomes a quietly potent round, right? You get the more technical process-based fighters. I don't know if you want to call Tai Tuivasa process-based exactly, but he was the more technical guy. That was a round 2 that I hit. Opposite Derek Lewis. Did I recently get another Derek Lewis one right? That was the round 1. Yeah, and that wasn't a round 2, though. Yeah, I noticed just that round 2 can be very potent for those more process-based heavyweights. I know I took that shot for Greg Hardy, ended in round 1, but that was Greg Hardy, Augustus Sakai, like I said in my breakdown, was going to be good enough to survive, but just still suspiciously worse off his back than he should be, and arguably than he's shown earlier in his career. And I think that might have maybe juked some people out, because it's definitely juked me out in the past. I'm no better. But yeah, Spivak round 2, baby, TKO, that definitely helped. So that was nice to hit. And that was one for the Pop Squad. Tony Sartori also got one too, I believe. What did he have? Was it someone by KO? I forget. Oh, Battle by KO. We'll get to that. Oh, Jesus. Congrats to my guy Tony Sartori, though. Terence McKinney defeated Eric Gonzalez. Submission, rear naked choke. If he would have TKO, that would have been a huge night, because they finally let your boy round robin again. Ooh, did I round robin on this fight? Oh my gosh, I didn't. But I may, though. Oh, I may. Oh. We'll see. I'll post it if I do. You guys know me. I'll post it if I do. And I don't even know if they're going to let me right now. And I don't want to spoil what I got coming your way. There's a lot of exposure, a lot of plus money, the normal shit from me. And not a lot of exposure, actually, but, more than I'd like, so, because I try to be a little more on the conservative side. Not that it's a great thing, but for me, it's probably the safer thing. But yeah, if he McKinney would have got the TKO, that would have been a big night. But he has more submissions than TKO, so no surprise. I knew I was rolling the dice there. Just figured if Jim Miller could get the KO before the submission pops up, and Jim Miller will never say no to a submission, even to his own detriment. I figure maybe McKinney's explosiveness. No, his knockout power and skill. He's got some real snap to his stuff. Which is obviously still there, but he's double threat, man. He's got the skills everywhere. No hate. Mikhail Oleksiejczuk defeated Sam Alvey. Smiling Sam. Hopefully, UFC gave him a podium, just so he could reenact his January 6th walkout. I wish Smiling Sam all the best with all those kids, but yeah, man, it's tough. I guess playing the company man got him some more fights, but it's tough to stomach. But what the fuck? My dumbass is gonna be going into a cage, essentially for free. So who am I to talk? Who the fuck am I to talk? Brian Battle defeat. God, that just as long as that doesn't happen, I'll end up knock on wood. Oh, Jesus Christ. Protect the head kick, baby. Protect the head kick. My first fight was a dude who could throw a real wicked Thai-style head kick as well. And that was definitely on the docket. Even in the photos, you can go back and you just see me blocking with all my might. Just did not want to get fucking hit by the open stance head kick. Just something that just always, it's always there, and you always got to respect in the open stance match, which I find myself as a southpaw like Sato. Shouldn't have changed my pick. Went with this as my initial pick. Between the line movement, seeing people I respect on Sato, I'm like, let me take a closer look at this. Saw some things. I'm like, Sato's pretty capable puncher, man. Battled the weight cut. I didn't like the way he looked on the scale. Yeah, let me switch it up to Sato here, not just Top Master. I'll own up to it. Maybe even sprinkle a little bit if my first play of the night hits, which it did. So I sprinkled on Sato. Didn't matter. Still came out winning. Thankfully, it was just a half unit, but more importantly, I hope Sato's okay, man. Those are just those little life-changing shots, potentially, so to speak. Corey McKenna defeated Miranda Granger submission. Von Flushock. I didn't watch this one. Congrats to McKenna. Shitara Myra Buena Silva defeated Stephanie Edgar. Didn't need to get cheeky, but if one side was going to hit, it was profit either way, and this was the more profitable side and definitely the more feel-good side by Shitara hitting. How do you not love her, man? Just like respect, doing it for the kids, trying to set a good example. She's got like a housing project, like Do Bronx. Like, oh man, I just hopefully they kicked her some extra money. Would have loved to have seen her gotten a bonus because that money would have been going to good places. All right, that is that recap there. 22, 37-ish. All right. Amazon reads. MixedMartialAnalyst.com to support this show, folks. If you want to, if you want to ease your conscience of shopping at places like Onnit or Amazon, you click through the link at mixedmartialanalyst.com to the right, /toggle to the right. Just one extra click, no extra cost, no extra clicks. After that, you just do your shopping, and a small percentage of your purchases will be kicked back to this here program. And if you do it for Amazon, it doesn't do it through the Onnit, but for Amazon, it will actually give me a list of what you buy. It does not tell me who you are. It does not give me any of your personal information. So if you want to, have David Carradine one night in Bangkok, go to town, buy the karate gi, the vibrating nunchucks, the rope that doesn't hurt the neck, whatever you got to do to get your rocks off, you can do it through my click-through, and I won't judge you. No one's got to know it's you. I will pontificate on the purchases in front of a public audience through multiple mediums, but no one's got to know it's you. So let's see what we got. Let's see what people clicked through and purchased. Oh, by the way, there's a PayPal donation link if you just want to donate money straight up. Full secured link, PayPal. Of course, to find that, it's Dan Tom MMA, I believe. There is link where you can find me at Twitter, at Dan Tom MMA, in the link tree. I don't know why I turned into the translator and head coach of K-Dojo, who we'll talk about. But yes, there's at Dan Tom MMA, at the PYM podcast on all social platforms. Don't pollute your feed. Through the Amazon click-through, somebody purchased a Straddler metal double hole sharpener with a tub. All right, a hole sharpener with, I don't even know what the fuck that is. All right, kind of want to click on it. Someone bought a Tribe water-resistant cell phone armband running case. Tribe, is it Optimus Prime? You're Jewish too? This is the Tribesman. Fantasy Jewish Fight League. Official armband. Whether you were a fellow tribesman or not, I appreciate the purchase. Somebody bought Mr. Pen, pencils with a sharpener and eraser. Okay, that explains the other sharpener thing. Thank you for buying that. Someone else bought Barnsley Graphic South Yorkshire vintage print tank top. Yorkshire. Is it Scott Askham fan? Remember Scott Askham, the tall dude, and he'd have all the castle people that would show up cage side, and they'd just be like, Yorkshire. I always wondered if they just followed him everywhere, Yorkshire. He's trying to take a shit. Yorkshire. Why you shut up, you fatting cunts? Yorkshire. Sorry. It's probably not even how Scott Askham sounds. Someone bought a 1-inch craft thank you stickers. 500 pieces, ceiling thank you. what way to better say thank you than sticking something on someone's property and now they have to scrape it off? Dan, don't ruin the nice gesture. Why must you always take it to negative town? Somebody bought. Oh wow, this is a nice purchase. 100 ducats over, but it was worth it because you bought the Halloween 4K. I don't know if that. I, don't know, I was gonna accuse my guy Kyle McLaughlin, but he. I don't know if he's even a Halloween fan. Yeah, wow. Thank you for buying that. Somebody else. I'm guessing this is the same person, not because it's listed back to back here, but because it's both in the horror section. Something about Return of the Living Dead, kicking it old school. Appreciate that. Looks like a regular DVD, but hey, man, that I appreciate that. Good stuff. Somebody got a Robinson's Fruit Squash Concentrate Variety Pack. Alrighty, hopefully that's good. And lastly, but not leastly, somebody got 8 ounces of plastic juice bottles, empty and clear, with tamper-proof lids. Alright, it's like back-to-school shopping, looks like somebody was doing. I appreciate you doing back-to-school shopping over at mixedmartialanalyst.com and using the Amazon click-through if you want to support the show to no extra cost to yourself. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. It's always appreciated. All right, all that is out of the way, and let us get to UFC on ESPN 41, UFC San Diego, UFC Fight Night, Vera versus Cruz, not Vera Cruz. And we'll start with that fight. Of course, my in-depth breakdown, as per usual, up over at MMAJunkie.com. We got Marlon Chito Vera, minus 230, Dominic the Dominator Cruz, plus 195. Wasn't as confident as I came in, but still ended up on the same side as the favorite in Vera for essentially the same reasons. Both fighters get stronger as the fight goes on, but Vera, some hard thunder and lightning. Vera really keeps his power, arguably because he's got some suspect pacing still. He'll still kind of get off to a slow start. He'll still make some kind of suspect fight IQ moves here and there, Those things are all true, but he has just been slowly getting more and more of a beat on what is now, I would argue, again, defense, transitions, the strategies, the pacing. These things are up for argument, improvements, of course, but as far as offensive arsenal, the dude is a fully fledged offensive arsenal. He's got excellent eyes and exchanges to counter and utilize them in intercepting fashions. He's a certified wood chipper and close in the clinch. His leg kick should serve him well, though Cruz is obviously one of the more consistent counter takedown leg kickers of not just this division, just of all time, with the way he kind of styles it. He has that reach down from both stances, kind of on a hair trigger. The knee taps, which he can get into off of failed doubles. People will kind of hoist up with the hoisting wizards and overhooks, if you will. They'll kind of pull him up like a pair of pants on his lazier double, and then he'll shift to the knee tap depending on which side you step back on. He's just got these things on a hair trigger. They're just so well drilled. I think we're going to see a lot more wrestling from Cruz. If you look at Vera traditionally, and this is arguably the case for both of them, but ironically, the dog who checks all 3 of the boxes where Vera arguably vehemently checks 2, which is fighters who can counter, attack the body, and wrestle have traditionally troubled both guys, particularly Vera. And Cruz does all 3 of those things. He wrestles, he can counter, and he goes to the body, both with punches and kicks. I would argue Cruz, our underrated combination striker, underrated kicker as well, underrated power. Not that he's knockout power or one-shot knockout power guy at all, although he's, he has scored some TKOs throughout his career, sprinkled through, right? But I'm just saying the fact of kind of like the guy he did knock out, famously Takeya Mitsugaki. I always point to deceptively heavy hands Mitsugaki, Could get the respect of his opponents, whereas Cruz more frustrates opponents, but there is some deceptive pop there. Again, I'm not trying to say he's a knockout. I'm just saying more than given credit for. That's all. For those reasons, he can put some numbers and win some rounds, make some rounds questionable where we're arguing Cruz's volume, takedowns, and top and effectiveness from top, what he does with it versus the elbows from all ranges, even on bottom, and all the attacks on bottom and the damaging moments on the feet. For Vera, I think we're going to have a handful of those rounds here too. So if it goes to decision, Vera will have the arguments through damage. Whereas Cruz will obviously be live. If it goes to decision, means he didn't get finished, and probably got a lot of wrestling going, got a lot of numbers going. Presumably, he could be limping his way across the finish line too, right, folks? He's got a lot of scar tissue and whatnot, and again, between Vera having deceptively heavy hands, with the way he hits, you see the damage it does on guys, and he's kind of got that BJ Penn blessing, early BJ Penn blessing, where he can't mark up, but just mark other guys up brutally, right? Like Vera's kind of in that phase, training with, of course, BJ Penn's former boxing coach when BJ Penn actually, was looking at his best. That was Jason Perillo. Now the main coach, he parted ways a bit with Colin Oyama, Team Oyama, which I like Team Oyama and Colin Oyama, but that's fine. By the way, low key, Colin Oyama always racially motivating Cheeto there. Some suspect words in Spanish for my Spanish speakers. The words that I won't say. Perhaps words that might be the equivalent to the N word, but in Spanish. But that Colin Oyama, he's old school. Let's say that. But yeah, I actually feel like Cheeto's progressed more since working. Not to be gymist or feel that narrative, but yes, from an objective standpoint, I do feel like it's been a better change for Cheeto as far as getting his boxing and more process going. But again, Cheeto can still kind of be Cheeto. So I ended up sprinkling on Cheeto Vera rounds 3, 4, and 5, varying numbers. Some nice numbers at Bet Online. You got the plus 14 round 3, plus 18 for round 4, plus 2,400 for round 5. You know me. Take a shot. Another loading the bullets. Give me that gif of maybe not with this gun culture, perhaps not. But if there was a bullet loading gif for degenerate betting Dan Tom here, it would be the point 17 ducats, baby, on all three of those bad boys. That's the only thing I played. Get a couple hundred returns if just one of them hits, which is nice, but hopefully won't make or break me with the way I played and structured my night. We'll see. Next fight, David Onama minus 275, Nate Landva plus 230. Off initial instinct, it's like, yeah, Onama should be favored. I don't know about this much, and then you look closer, like, wait, didn't we just see Onama? That's right, it was less than a month ago he fought into a third round or a second round. Yeah, he didn't fight too long ago. And, Landwehr was got the full camp in for this one. Down there at MMA Masters, looks in great shape. I know MMA Masters not exactly known for their process. It's kind of weird, right? It's like Landwehr's fighting smarter, looking more technically refined, more defensively aware, though not huge, nor should we expect huge adjustments for his style. Maybe he's better off as that pressure counter fighter, but as that pressure counter fighter, he is definitely eating a lot of shots, and he's a guy that can counter himself, hence being a pressure counter fighter. So why not do it on the back foot a little bit? He can do it there, but I just worry about that. We've seen that adjustment with a lot of MMA Masters guys. Cesar Fajeda, we had I got a love for Rick Lamas, but he would get a bit into that back foot because the striking coach, I believe, is very capoeira centric. So you got improvement on kicks, but you could argue the attachment, the depth to the kicks, the connectivity, right? To a more back foot capoeira influenced kicking game, maybe not influencing with the takedowns, the strikes, the yada yada, right? So something to watch out for there. That being said, Landwehr is more of a defensive takedown guy, to be honest. More opportunistic, good ground and pound. But he's more just dirty boxing in the clinch kind of guy, and his clinch only looks better as far as his knees and elbows. He's also the dirty boxing in the clinch from the Russia days to his earlier UFC fights. But like if you're noticing now, he's actually getting some good knees and elbows, and like that's kind of how he took Klein. He just took that fight into the clinch. I know Klein was cutting a lot of weight and faded. Whereas Onama looked like he'll fade within a round, but then he's like his power's right back at it, and it looks like he can do that. All three, maybe even into 4 and 5 if we get to see Onama in those type of fights, right? But that being said, when I went back to watch the tape, it wasn't as impressive as I remembered. I wonder if it's a lot of that. Oh, look at him, he's got so much potential. Oh, and there is a lot of that too. I get it. I'm not hating on that, but I wonder if that narrative, the looks good getting off the bus, the clear power shots that he has, the good coaching in camp that he comes from, right? I mean, these are all great things. I'm not hating on it, but I'm just saying we can all be guilty of overcorrecting that sometimes, right? And it certainly looks so with the line. Especially this guy taking this fight on short notice, a quick turnaround. He's a big 145 is his natural class, not 155. But it's not like the guy's small for 145. He's giant for 145, Onama. And he's young, but getting, like he could finish his. I wouldn't be surprised. He probably should finish his career at 155. I'd be willing to take that bet. Not saying he shouldn't be cutting 145 or he's killing himself to do it, but he is big, and now he's going to have to do that and perform twice within a month. And the last time he took a fight on short notice, granted it was a UFC debut against Mason Jones, who, again, maybe that doesn't even age as well. And I'm a Mason Jones guy, but hard to defend a lot what we saw in that last performance. We got to ask some questions now after that, right? Landwehr's a dog, can make it ugly too, and it's just the thing is, David Onama, does he deserve to be favored? Sure, maybe not by this much, but sure. Because probability more times than Landwehr wins, Onama wins, and more specifically, more times than not, Onama probably wins early, first round, right? Landwehr looks like a guy who could be caught early, but then he gets stronger as the fight goes on. But the thing is, the funny thing about that narrative is if you look at it, even against Garrett Armfield, who, it wasn't as bad, but he hit Onama pretty good in that fight and looked like he stunned him. And if he did, then that means Onama has been stunned, visibly stunned in the first round. Because his defense is, again, offensively, right? There's a lot there. The guy's shifting combinations, can fight from both stances. It looks like he's getting a better feel for the counter from both stances. But defensively, his head's not moving much. There's not much head movement. Defensively, proactive defense, reactive defense. I'm not seeing a lot there. General, swaggy, shout out to Robin Black, flim-flammy kind of movement. Not even a lot of that. So he's there to be hit, and he's been rocked and visibly stunned, at least in the first round of every UFC fight he's had, Onama. And Landwehr can crack, man, whether it's more technical. I didn't want to say tentative. It's just tentative for Nate because he was such a wild man. It was kind of weird to see him fight more technical, although it air quotes technical, although it paid off for him because he can, at the end of the day, he can counter and crash to the clinch. And Onama's good in the clinch, and he's tall, and, I'm sure Krause is going to be in his head, and they trained a lot of knees because Krause is smart as hell and, does his homework. That height, he could probably land a knee. It's okay, babies. It's okay. He could probably land a knee, and, but, we'll see. We'll see. Good, babies. It's okay. Wow, it's loud lightning. But again, does he need a knee? No. Landwehr has been knocked out by knees twice or whatever. So it's whatever. I mean, it could happen again. Sorry, just trying to calm the dogs down. It's okay, babies. But yeah, if he gets out of that first round, I think Landwehr can take over and make it dirty. Could Onama still finish him late? Could Onama still win a decision? Sure. I'm not saying that. It's a real gritty, dangerous fight to bet. You could look real dumb here. But I'm actually not even going to just bet. I'm actually going to pick Landwehr as well, man. I think, he's making improvements. I'm betting a lot on experience. That bias is definitely bleeding through my picks here, folks. Thankfully, there's some plus money to help justify it. But yeah, man, I think Landwehr can also win early and win late and win a decision and dog out a decision. Um, I think he's going to be the more functional grappler, the better wrestler. Onama, looks like he's been grappling a lot more and really working on that, which is good. But I don't think he's going to be able to take down Landwehr that easily, and may actually get himself into trouble considering Nate Landwehr's been, looks like he's got a solid series that he's worked on from the front headlock. He was hunting it on Klein for a reason. So yeah, I mean, up to plus 230. I got it at plus 270 at one house for a unit. I couldn't say no to that. Plus 270, about $1. Was that $1 open for where he opened? What did he open at? No, never mind. He opened at plus 250. Never mind. But yeah, that's just a high number, man. I just think they might have set that long. Can't blame the public on that one. That was the odds setters. And again, Onama could win here, but I think that if they keep inflating him, if he wins here and I lose his bet, it's fine. Because honestly, and it's nothing against Onama, man. He seems like a really nice kid, a good kid, got a bright ceiling, but he's still young. And I don't think that the hype and the odds quite justify what we've seen yet. So, a little possible fade planty if he does win. So if I'm wrong here, they're not trying to play that game. I give credit where credit's due, of course. But, there is some silver lining from a betting perspective if you're looking to plant some seeds, if you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, I don't expect you to follow me off this cliff, folks. But, value, stylistic, ceiling, experience. The Onama really, kind of sticking his hand in the cookie jar repeatedly. I think you can only do it for so long before you pay the price. I mean, Landwehr already learned that, Maybe Onama does here. Give me Nate the Train, 1 unit plus 270. Yasmin Jaragui, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, versus Yasmin versus Lucindo. I don't know. Probably end up with the favorite. Got to watch on this. That's what I was kind of alluding to. Check my good plug for my main quick picks and prognostications of Junkie that drops on fight day. See where I end up, because you know me, I'll actually watch some tape. Unfortunately, on these girls. Devin Clark plus 125. Azamat Mirzakhanov minus 145. Oddly enough, ended up on Clark here. I know I got burned going against Mirzakhanov. Looked like I would have been genius on the plus 195 or whatever I took on Chukwi. Then he got finished, third round. When did we watch it? And it reminded me of Fiziev dos Santos, where, the fighter that you bet on is taking over, right? And betting on the dog to kind of take over late in both those fights. And they had their window in the final round, and they knew they had their window, and that's great. And they took initiative, which are all good things that don't happen as much as you would think. But the problem is that, like, even when all those recipes are going your way, and this is the round, and this is the final round, you still got to be really extra careful for that first 30 seconds. Because as gassed as they are, they just got to recharge. And that first 30 seconds, no matter their conditioning or weight class, even as unlikely as it is when we start getting up to, chubby 205ers, that first 30 seconds, even those guys can be dangerous. And Chukwi learned that the hard way. And again, kind of like some other fights, with Mason Jones and whatnot, and weird parallel to make. But just as far as, maybe not aging as well, right? We've seen Chukwi maybe not being able to take the power as much as he can give, or at least look to give it, right? So maybe there's a little bit of that there too. Whereas Devin Clark, me, I faded come on, Devin, you got to fight, goddammit. And when he goes inaudible and Devin's getting finished. But I feel like, by the way, if and whenever Devin Clark gets finished, I feel like whenever David Clark goes inaudible, they should just have like One Flew Over Its Cuckoo's Nest, a bunch of what do you call those people, orderlies, come out and just kind of subdue them with the shots to the neck. Easy, David, sleep. Bro, gotta fight. All right, he's down. We've got exactly 30 seconds before he wakes back up and gives us hell. But I actually like Devin Clark because even in this fight, because even when he's losing, the dude will fight for your money. The dude can get his whole row of teeth knocked out. And it's not so much that he's afraid of losing your bets, folks. It's afraid of facing his father, David Clark. I feel like the crowd will drown out David Clark, so hopefully that'll actually maybe help, mild out Clark's anxiety in there. And then but then knowing the fear that he has to go back to his father will keep him trying to win this fight and fighting for our tickets. If you're on my side of this one at least. Mirzakhanov looks to get tired. He should be a 185er. He hasn't made that drop yet. Carrying that weight, fighting inconsistently, getting lucky, and as far as things go. But yeah, I think that he's probably going to get tired again if he doesn't finish. So again, this is kind of classic spot going with the more experienced guy, at least for the UFC, the wrestler, the person who has to kind of take a little bit up front early. Clearly, I have these biases, and by the way, the closer I get to fight time, I may be leaning into these biases harder, as a guy who, likes to wrestle, maybe he's a southpaw, got to take it up, not that Mearshart is, or not that Clark is, but, we'll get there. We'll get there. But again, if you're noticing this theme, folks, I'm not trying to, believe me. I'm trying to be as unbiased as I normally am, but I also got to call myself out, right? And I someone who calls out human nature, I'd be damned if I don't call that out on myself. And yeah, the closer to an older, experienced guy who has to kind of come on late, use grappling, wrestling. It may not be the craziest thing if I start believing in these guys a little more, as I have to believe in myself. So there may be a theme to some of these, but again, you could argue I was already biased toward these because of that same reason, competing or not. It's just where my bias lies, right? And I've called myself out on this before, folks. This is nothing new, but it bears worth repeating, right? But yeah, if Mirzakhanov, I'll be getting a little weird when the lightning goes out because my dogs will kind of freak out and hopefully they'll start fighting each other or something. But yeah, I think if he slows down against Clark, we saw last time get the round 3 finish. It's always been in him, but I think the problem was camps. Again, I try to trash camps and stuff because there's a lot of people that kind of can be really unfair with their analysis and stuff, and I've been guilty of it too. So I'm trying not to be a hypocrite, and I sit there and go, gave that Mike Valley guy some crap. This and that, and I just start kind of going opposite, and then sure enough, he does the ovaries line. He starts fucking shouting all the crazy lines during fight week, and then his pupil gets embarrassed with the simple stance switch and can't overcome it. And I'm after I just praised this striking coach, of course this is what happens. Obviously, the only other camp that I've kind of been a little bit vocal to is Jackson Wink and more of the Wink side of it, and nothing personal. The guy does special education stuff with his kids, and does benefits, and does a bunch of good community stuff, and I'm sure he's a fine citizen in that regard, right? And that kind of stuff obviously gets my respect. So it's nothing personal, but if you just got to look, the ponies all day, and you see the same kind of stuff from the same fighters for about a decade now. It's kind of hard not to kind of call out and be critical of when that's your kind of whole job, right? Is to examine these things. And that was kind of why I would always fade Clark. But, he did a camp change over to, not Elevation. Well, Elevation Fight Team, he's working with those guys, as well as, Mark Montoya, Factory X Muay Thai. And so he's still training in Elevation, but just, a really respectable group. And usually you see that adjustment period, and we actually saw some improvements. He had a good right hand, lead to his right hand off the jab. And the next one, he throws away the jab and lands a left hook. He's doing some really good stuff in there. So I actually expect him to be even more improved, but probably just get back to his wrestling, which would make the most sense for this fight. Tire Mirzakhanov off. You survive that first round, your chances go way up. And I think at that 7-minute mark, Clark can start to turn the tide. either win a decision or maybe even get a late finish. So I played Clark for a unit. I actually was originally going to play 3/4 units all the way through, kind of still in bank building mode, but I ended up playing a unit on him, so I just ended up doing the unit throughout my straight shots here. Plus 125. I know it's 25 cents cheaper than the plus 150 opener, but I also took, again, the .17 unit, 17 ducats there, and I put it on round 3 at plus 1800, which is going to be my prop squad submission for this week. So Devin Clark, we got a kick for coverage with the money line and a small little sprinkle on round 3. Opposite of Mirzakhanov, who comes from K Dojo, was the Russian guy I was imitating before. Of course, it is how I sound. He that guy was with 2 men off. So you kind of got these guys who are really good strikers, really good hooks and counter strikers, right? But gas tank and wrestling them, especially wrestling them, and what their gas tank does once you wrestle them, that can be a bit suspicious. Old habits die hard. We've seen that from the K Dojo guys. So give me Clark, who seems to be in a good space heading into this one. He will fight for the money. Bruno Blendau Silva minus 285. Gerald Mearshart plus 240. This is the last fight I watched tape on before getting on here, and was just ready to pick Silva and say root for Mearshart and bet the sub. But you know what? I actually oh god, this is gonna kill me. There's way too many dogs that I'm picking on this card. I didn't want to pick my guy. I know it's like, oh, well, you like Gerald Mearshart, and he's one of the few fighters that follow you, or you follow him, and that's why you're biased there. But yeah, I'd be lying if I'd be worried about GM3 seeing me pick against him, even though I've picked against him plenty of times with those caveats in play. So that wouldn't stop me here. I was fully prepared to pick against him here. Silva deserves to be favored. More often than not, Silva will probably win this fight by knockout. And if it goes to a decision, that means Mearshart didn't do his job, since most of his wins in his long experienced career are inside the distance. So something went wrong if it went to decision, and the more damaging fighter will definitely be Silva. And even when it's not, like we saw if you go back and watch Eric Anders versus Gerald Mearshart, Mearshart actually outboxes him in that fight. But Mearshart's body language, he always looks gassed, and he doesn't look like he hits hard. Even when he does, he can get juked, on some scores in that regard. Not saying he's got robbed or anything like that, but just he doesn't get his due credit, and I feel like that's a fair assessment for those caveats in tow of looking tired, not having the best body language. As I said, body language is big. That being said, Silva not the most consistent, and I went back to watch. I was a bit disturbed that how easy this guy is to take down. I mean, it's dangerous to close distance on him because he can counter you. He strikes dangerous off the break, and he'll just club hard stuff while you're trying to go for takedowns. And I could see him hurting Gerald Mearshart while Mearshart goes for a takedown, especially that early takedown Mearshart likes to go to. I know he got knocked out outside of that, Thiago Santos, which was the first time he got stopped. And that, aged fairly well for the time, especially. He goes on that weird 2-fight run. Granted, it's in June and September, like back-to-back, right when the pandemic starts. Everybody's camp scrambled. I know Mearshart's was. Not saying he would have won those fights anyways. Not trying to take away from his opponents. But those were facts as well that were in play. Of course, Mearshart gets caught cold before he can even shoot a takedown. Funny thing is, even though going back like 7 or 8 fights, all the way to 2019, because Mearshart fights a lot, to that Anders fight that he arguably won. Like, outside of that fight, I think, like, in all those fights you go back, like, every fight that Mearshart attempts a takedown in, he gets at least one takedown. He didn't get to attempt a takedown against Cumshot or Ian Heinisch, so keep that in mind. But Blendau, I think he can take him down. It's going to be the bigger octagon. But here's the thing, too, is Blendau will give his back just by overthrowing shots. He did it to Andrew Sanchez. Of course, Andrew Sanchez is much more of a grinder who wrestles himself into a hole, whereas Mearshart, he may look tired, but he's live for round 3 subs and everything. He's live in every round pretty much, Mearshart is. So, he couldn't do much and didn't really try for much. Whereas Mearshart, you give him those turtle positions. That's another thing, is like whether he falls down from overthrowing a shot or is taken down. Blundell Silva will always go to his base and give his back, which again is bad against a guy like Mearshart, not just for the back takes and the way he'll ride and tire guys out. Even did it to explosive guys like Muradov, right? Same thing with him. Wore him out at the end of the first round, and then of course got some takedowns after hitting him with some shots in the second, surviving the storm. But more so than that is the front headlock. GM3's got really good guillotines and front headlock chokes as well. And when you turtle, you don't just give your back, but you also give your neck. So he's essentially giving a la carte, an a la carte buffet options to Mearshart anytime he gets into those positions. And again, Mearshart, outside of that 2 knockout run, that weird run right in the beginning of the pandemic, he's scrambling his camp. Outside of that, and against 2 guys who that is their their MO. Wrestlers with KO power early, Khamzat and Heinisch, was Thiago freaking Santos, right? Who arguably beat John Jones up at 205, is knocking dudes up out up at 205 before he suffered the consequences of that Jones fight with all the injuries, right? This guy is hard to finish, Mearshart, and he will fight for the money, and fixing the camp stuff, because that's been a thing through his career that's kind of been problematic. It's like, well, he would train with good guys like Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley and whatnot, so he was getting some good training at like these bigger, these more higher profile dudes and going down to their camps. But he's always been a traveling guy, and this one he actually relocated and did the whole camp down at Kill Cliff FC, the rebranded Sanford MMA, Hard Knocks 365, whatever you want, H Kickboxing, Black Zillions, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, he's been down there, and there's a lot of people to work with. Hobo Cop, who he's been working a lot with. Marc Andre Barriou, which is another good guy to work with for this camp. Just a lot of good guys, freakish strong guys like the Dolces and the Impas, and yeah, just really like, and he looked like, and even before I knew he did the camp, listening to my guy Aaron Bronstetter, shouts the TSN MMA show, I noticed that he just looked a lot healthier. Like, he usually looks all tired and underslept. Like, dude looks like he's got some sun, some rest, some good strength and conditioning. Dude, he looks like the freshest I've ever seen him visually, which is crazy to say for Mearshart. So, man, I'm trying to fight my biases here, folks, but I'm actually gonna last minute switch my pick to Mearshart. I'm not gonna play the money line. I'm more exposed than I'd like to, and with a guy who's always gonna go for that sub. You know what? I'm just gonna sprinkle. I just sprinkled the sub. I found it at plus 600 at BetMGM. You should be able to get it for at least plus 500. And I put 0.20 units, so just 20 ducats, 0.20, not 1 unit, which will be 1.0, 0.20, which equals 20 ducats for my size, right? But $20 you never want to see again. Shouts to the CME, right? Even if you get it at the low end number at plus 500, that's still a whole unit return. It's 1.2 unit return at the plus 600 number. So again, I don't have to with this kind of a guy with the pathways of turtle. Whether or not you end up jumping off the cliff, falling off the cliff as far as a picking side to pick Mearshart, you don't have to pick him, but I do believe there's value as far as that sub prop, or if you want to use it to hedge out a potential hedge if you've got like the chalk, if you ended up laying the chalk on Silva. It's there. I'm not telling you what to do. I think I'm crazy for all the dogs I'm on, so I'm definitely not trying to sell you on my side. Not that I do anyways. We're all big boys and girls and can make our own decisions. But yeah, I'm gonna potentially go down with the Mearshart ship here. As bad as that could look, I showed my work and I love GM3. So what else can I ask for? Also putting my money where my mouth is to a small but smart degree. If you are gonna play it, I would argue. But yeah, I wouldn't go crazy on GM3 or anything like that. Cynthia Calvillo minus 180. Nina Nunes plus 155. I'm picking another dog here, but honestly, I've had bad vibes when I first broke this fight down. Don't feel like looking back into it, especially after hearing the interviews. Calvillo wants to go back down to strawweight. Nunes just wants to get back on her vacation and celebrate with the other Nunes, who's already completed one half of the goal. So I feel like both girls just want to get the shit done, and when you have that attitude, it can be kind of dangerous. Shit. I mean, even me, it's, as much as I'm going to be thinking about food and all the things I want to entice and motivate myself for after, and as much as I will be, anxious, and even have fear for what's to come in the fight. I'm trying to remind myself now, you gotta enjoy this. This is the last time you maybe can do this. This is the last time you may be able to do something like this. Train your whole life. Enjoy it and get the fucking win, dude. So, don't want to be in a rush to get it over, I don't want to, there's a fighter recently that really articulated that well. Really enjoying the moment. But yeah, I do believe there's something to that. But I'll take Nunes no play despite taking yet another live dog, Priscilla Cachoeira, plus 165, minus 195 Lipsky. This line's getting way too high. It's definitely dog or pass. I'm going to stick with my Lipsky pick, although her being sick and getting over that doesn't make me feel great. I don't know why the line's even higher. I feel like the line should be going the other way. I'll probably stick to my Lipsky pick, but yeah, Cachoeira is definitely live. I've picked too many dogs. I'll stick with my Lipsky pick, but Cachoeira is live. I'll probably take Cachoeira and Toutmaster. Martin Hippolyte, minus 280. Did I mention that Dominic Cruz recently beat Pedro Munoz? Martin Hippolyte, minus 280 versus Lucas Bresci, plus 235. Did not even look into this fight. I'll take Bade. Did not look into it. Not betting it. Good luck. Surprised it's not like the co-main event with the way fucking these matchmakers go. Again, fucking middleweight opener. Why would we have that? God, just the way they structure cards. It's just like, what are we doing here, folks? Put Ontiveros Benitez as the main card opener. Either Whit Quinlan or Hill Godinez as the prelim lead-in or something, Like, what the fuck are we doing here, folks? And this Bade Bresci should be opening as a dark bout. Angela Hill plus 270. Lupita Godinez, speaking of that fight, minus 325. Gonna go with Lupita. Line is getting too wide for my liking, but her wrestling and that just traditional hole, despite Angela Hill's best efforts, which she has made improvements. I faded Lupita Godinez, look like an idiot. She's just like crazy. Improvement. Why not expect more improvement this time around? I know Angela Hill will be fighting at home. I know we all love Angela Hill. I will be happy if she wins. I'm not betting this fight, but the pick is Lupita Godinez by decision. Charlie Ontiveros plus 290. Gabriel Benitez minus 350. Taking Benitez. I think his boxing and his body work is going to be good enough here. The only thing I would take a look on this fight, I'm sure it's gotten bet down, but I think it was like a cheeky plus 900 for Benitez sub. The dude has, akin to Mckinney, he quietly has more subs than he has knockouts. And the sub that he likes is a guillotine, which is great if you hurt a guy and he shoots on you, or you hurt him to the body with his southpaw kick and they crunch over and he grabs that neck, baby. But I'm not confident enough, didn't look back at this fight to see if the trends have been leaving or getting stronger. I suspect they've been leaving. Not just because of the results, but I haven't really seen Benitez have too much interest in grappling offhand. But that's something worth keeping in mind, that plus 900 number. I'll take Benitez, though, inside the distance. I didn't take that, by the way. I'm sure it's chalked up all to hell. Didn't touch that fight. Ode Osborne, minus 250. Tyson Nam, plus 210. Man, death taxes and fading the old dudes, especially at flyweight. 38? Oh, my goodness. I get it. But let's not forget that Guido Canetti recently got a win at 42 or whatever, just a weight class up, which is basically where these guys are at. they're basically bantamweights. They're both big flyweights, but Nam doesn't seem to have trouble making the weight. He is fairly consistent in that regard. Consistent overall, not as high of a volume as we would like, right? That's kind of been his Achilles heel. But his counters are on point, and I think this number is a bit too wide. And I know you can make the argument that Osborne could have kept fighting. He was up, but he did go limp, and I know that was the only time that he has been stopped as an amateur or pro, and he did bounce right back after going limp. I'm not trying to take away from those things or his Modelo fighting spirit here, but yeah, he does cut some decent weight, and Nam is one of the harder hitters. He can get knockouts from the beginning of the round. He's got the fastest bantamweight knockout. Tyson Nam does that with that Jerome Rivera knockout. They both knocked out Jerome Rivera. Another tall southpaw, by the way. Note that. Or like knocking out guys like Ali Bagotinov, where he's losing the whole fight and he knocks him out at the very end. Bagotinov, not a southpaw, by the way, but he was in a southpaw stance when he got knocked out. You know who else was in a southpaw but got knocked out when he was in a southpaw stance? Another one of Tyson Nam's more famous knockouts, even going further back, Eduardo Dantes. And then going back to recent knockouts, not just the Jerome Rivera, who was a southpaw. You know who was a southpaw, at least when he fought him? Not so much when he fought. Again, they have similar knockout wins, but yeah, was Zaruk Adashev, who fought Nam in the southpaw stance strictly. Nam, his losses were stylistic losses that he probably should have lost. Even Schnell, because Schnell has seen improvements. Both his chin, fighting spirit, technique, keeping his feet under him so his chin can be better, something that he himself has admitted working on. And Schnell can fight and has been known to fight that style. That Sergio Pettis and Kai Kara France, the reason why I didn't pick Nam in those spots as big dogs, because those kind of point fighters can do it. Ode Osborne kind of has that in the fact that he can touch, but even when he's touching a bit, he seems to get, at least at 125. You could argue he's do or die overall just by doing the old Sherdog tapology glance at the record breakdown. But when you actually look at him, watching him deep into fights, he kind of starts to fade. His speed and kind of everything, decision making, grappling, wrestling, his skills kind of fall apart. Whereas Nam, again, slow and steady, easy does it. Tortoise and the hare, right? Tortoise and the hares. I'm betting a lot of the tortoise and the hares scenarios in my angles here, in my shots that I'm taking. Granted, there's a bit of a theme here, but again, you go look at it. Nam does his best work against southpaws, and he's got another one. He's got experience on. Nam was training for a tall guy, I believe, Olombekov, even though he's a wrestler. I believe he fights from the southpaw stance as well. So he already had 2 camps for that. So it's not like he's been inactive doing nothing. He's been having camps, and it's been the other fighters that have been canceling on him. Maybe this guy just ages like wine. He's one of those dudes that can just, he's just one of those guys that's going to be like the Johnny Eduardo. He just shows up and, he either loses, or knocks the guy out or loses, but he's always live late into his career. So yeah, I feel like the money line's anything over plus 200 I'll take. I got it at plus 230, 1 unit. Kicked for coverage. So yeah, Tyson Nam. Jason Witt plus 210, Josh Quinlan minus 250. I already just broke this fight down. Told you guys I've cornered opposite Quinlan on the amateurs, seen this guy up close, the way he moves. Definitely a good puncher, good sense for thing, good eyes, good flow in the phases. Cutting weight again is not good for Witt, but he's not having to cut all the way. He's only to 180 pound catch weight, but Witt still looks like a big guy who walks around 200 pounds. So he's still gonna have to be cutting weight for that. So I still think Quinlan gets the knockout, and if it hurts Quinlan ill-effectually, then maybe he gets finished by a submission. Witt, you usually have to survive early, but he's got first round finish. He's got 1, 2, and 3 round 3. But we took the under 1.5 because my house doesn't offer the under 2.5s. I accidentally doubled down at one house because I didn't realize that at one house it gave me the bet back at the same number, but then I took it again at plus 130. But plus 135 was the original number I have and still technically have it at. So whether plus 130 or plus 135, 3/4 units is roughly a unit return. So that's the bet I still got going from that one. Damone Blackshear plus 105. Yusuf Salal minus 125. Didn't look into this fight. Probably take the Zalal, I guess. No bet. Won't have really any stakes in that one. Okay, how did we do on time? Hopefully under an hour and a half. Under hour 11. Okay, not too bad, I guess. All right, taking Marlon Chito Vera over Cruz. Taking Landwehr over Onama. Taking, I don't know, maybe I'll take Jetagui over Lucindo. Haven't researched that yet. Peep the main card picks article. Taking, come on, David, you gotta fight, goddammit. Come on, baby. Over Azamat Mirzakhanov from K Dojo. Taking Mearshart over Silva. Jesus. Taking Dan Nunes over Calvillo. Taking Lipsky over Cachoeira. Taking Budzai over Badesky. Taking Godinez over Hill. Taking Benitez over Ontiveros. Taking Nam over Osborne. Taking Quinlan over Witt. Taking Zalal over Blackshear. If I'll post any kind of round robins I get. Maybe I'll do Quinlan inside the distance, Benitez inside the distance. Maybe I'll do Vera inside the distance and see what that gets me. Maybe add someone else inside the distance. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I don't know total. I don't know what the fuck I'll do. I'll post as far as any long shots. I'll think of something to get cute with. See if my houses will even let me round robin. Which, by the way, that still came out on top, that round robin, by the way. It still produced profit. I think over 6.6 something units or whatever. So it covered my expenses and profited on top of it, by the way. Peeped that last week. But yeah, plays. Took Clark plus 125 money line, straight up for a unit. Nam plus 230 kick for coverage, straight up money line for 1 unit. Landwehr, kick for coverage again, plus 270 money line, 1 unit. Props, I took Clark round 3. Come on, David. Round 3 plus 1,800, just 0.17 U, 17 ducats. Did the old 17 ducats, 0.17 U on Vera round 3 plus 1,400. Vera round 4 plus 1,800. Vera round 5 plus 2,400. GM3 by sub plus 600.20 units. That's 20 ducats I don't want to see again for just over a unit return. And totals took Quinlan Witt under 1.5 plus 135 for 3/4 units. That's what I'm playing. All right, folks. MixedMartialAnalyst.com if you want to use the Amazon or on it click-throughs or support with the PayPal secure link there, or at DanTomMMA on Twitter. You got the links and click-throughs for the PayPal and all that stuff, the website, all that stuff there. Thanks for the 5-star ratings and reviews on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, if you haven't already. Daniel Tom, MMA on YouTube, thank you for liking and subscribing. If you have not already, at the PYN Podcast on all social platforms, I won't pollute your feed. Good luck on your picks and plays, and always protect your neck.